Great to be back, guys. Hope you're not sick of me. Take a year off.
A little closer.
Yeah, you can put a little closer.
How's the volume like that?
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, Solomon. Nobody said anything.
They're probably on.
Sounds good from online.
That we can be heard. And let me share my screen. Okay, Cranford-Millburn assigned B, sunrises or sunsets. Ball of fire.
Okay, well, what I like about this right off the bat is that it's almost like an abstract design as well as, a sunset or a sunrise that you can tell that it's a literal. So I like the fact that I could take it two ways, literal as well as a design. I like the composition, the placement of the sun off to the side, the movement of the clouds around it, kind of trailing off on either side. It's not like a super high detailed image, but like I said, I'm sort of taking this as almost like a design image. So I think it works pretty well. The only slightly troubling part for me is the kind of the red outline on the top of the sun, but it's not a major troubling thing, but that's just something perhaps in post-processing you could darken a little bit. But I'm still going to see this one again, 7.
Sunset Forsyth, NWR.
Okay, rich color, but it looks natural. Great silhouettes of the birds. I like the layering of the landscape and the sky. It's kind of unusual to see I guess it's a jet trail by the sun, that kind of pointy, I don't know, maybe it's a cloud that just happens to be shaped that way. It's interesting because that does draw my eye a lot. I might have tried a little bit of minimizing that by just darkening it a little bit, but I'm not going to take off because of that. I'm just letting you know my response. But overall, I think you handled this landscape well. 7.
OLV Sunset.
Okay. Rich color, nice silhouettes. To my eye, the colors look a little bit oversaturated. I know some sunsets can be really dramatic like this, but sometimes when you push the sliders a little too much, you lose a little bit of detail and the colors end up being a little bit muddy. And it's tough because there's, I have a pointer here for those of you that are on Zoom. I'm just pointing out the bottom layer has no orange, and then it's sort of a rough transition to the orange like that. And I think if the orange were a little less saturated, it would be more of a smoother transition. Otherwise, I might have probably cropped that section of the bottom off, and maybe even a little bit of the top off. But last thing I'm going to say is that even though it's not an image with a lot of black in it, you still want to put a little stroke around the outside for competition so that we can, see where the definition of your rectangle is. 7.
Sunrise on the Hook.
Okay, really beautiful reflections of the sky. You handled the colors so nicely. It's not easy with the pinks and the blues, the light colors like that. I really like the fact that you have more of the water than the sky. The place where you cropped it, I think, works really well. The main suggestion I would make would be the little bit of artifact on the bottom right is very distracting. I don't know if maybe it's a cattail or something. You might have been able to crop it a little bit, or if you know how to use the clone tool or the spot healing brush, just to try to eliminate that, because there's so much space in this image that there's a couple of resting spots for the eye, and unfortunately that's one of them, and that thing doesn't really add to your picture. I'm still going to give you 7 for B group, but just that if I don't promote it, it's so that you could crop that off or fix that. 7. How many do we have in B?
I think there were
like
11.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks.
Sunset Waikiki.
The sky part of this image and the sun are really great. And the bottom half, the only thing is it's a little bit, it almost looks like ice to me. I think the shadow blue came out a little bit too blue, and it looks, it just doesn't look like what it's supposed to be. And you have such lovely color and tones in the top. I think this image can be reworked a little bit, either crop a lot of the blue water off the bottom or just desaturate it a little bit. 6.
New day.
Do you think some of it got cropped off because there isn't a,
Not-
this is how,
I mean,
this
that's
is
how
how
it looks on my
Okay,
screen too.
all right,
so.
great. Yeah, so maybe when you cropped it finally, you cropped the stroke off the bottom. So, but I can clearly see where the bottom is, so I'm not going to score that against you. Lovely effect of the streaking in front of the sun. It's really nice how it's peeking out, but you could still see it underneath the heavier clouds at the bottom. The trees provide a nice base and grounding for this image. You could have darkened the trees even more to be like a silhouette. I'd be curious to see what that looked like. It's not bad like this, but that might have been a little kind of a stronger base. But nicely done, 7.
Backyard sunset.
You got a glorious sky that night. Look at the layers, look at the tones. My main critique for this image is the inclusion of the trees. I don't think helps your image at all. You'd either have to take them crop above the trees or include a little bit more of the trees, because they're just sort of floating black spots. I mean, I know we all know they're treetops, but it interferes with the gorgeousness that you captured, and you really did a great job capturing this. So I'm going to score it a 6, but I do love it, and I just think you need to get rid of those trees one way or the other. So please submit this again sometime. 6.
Evening sail.
Okay, it's interesting because it looks a bit like a square. You don't always see square images in competitions, but I like the placement of the boat. A little bit it's going out of the picture, but I think it works in that roughly in that third of the frame. Um, the the sun is small. It's fine. The little light streak is kind of stylish. People like light rays and everything like that. But the sun looks, it just doesn't look natural at all. Whoa. Um, sorry. It's the basketball. No, the dark orange around the sun and that kind of very distinct ball. It just looks a little bit clownish to me, like it's like a circus ball on top of the seal or something like that. I don't know, for in my taste. Um, It's also interesting how you have, I mean, I know the line of sunlight behind the boat is so yellow, and then everything else just cuts off so quickly to that blue. I think I think it might be a little bit over processed. I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to score this a 6.
Ribbon in the sky.
Okay, lovely tones. It's pretty contrasty, but it works because you've got detail, from the darks to the, well, we don't have the super brights here, but you've got detail. There's movement, there's nice contrast. And I know there are skies with these colors in them. I think we just had one the other night, actually. 7.
Sarasota sunset.
Say that 5 times fast.
Let me try.
The sky is wonderful. The purple, orange, I'm not sure if that's a bird at the top. It's a little, it could be a dust speck. In a case like this where you're not sure if it's a bird or if it's not clearly a bird, then I would just say get rid of it. Like use your spot healing tool to get rid of it. In fact, I'm going to use my pointer here. You might even just kind of crop off the top 15% of this image because it's your eyes kind of go up there. There's really not a lot going on in there. The other critique I would give is the purple of the water. It looks a little too much unnatural, too purple. So if I were making this image, I probably would eliminate a lot of the water and some of the sky. The colors are pleasant though. So I'm going to give this a 6. I think you could work with the crop a little bit on this and saturation. 6.
Bright skies.
I like the rhythm of the boats. You know, they're the same distance apart. It's like do 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 do. It's almost like a song to me. I don't know. It's just it feels like beats, I guess. And I like how they kind of come into the frame and then, you know, there's space off to the right. So you found a nice subject. The saturation is really intense, and I for my eyes, it's just a little too much. And you know, as an artist, of course, you can saturate as much as you want, and this doesn't have to be all natural, but I think that it detracts from the nice composition that you have found to have those really dark purples and pinks and everything. So to my liking, it's just a little too much. 6.
We have 6 to rescore here.
8. 8. 7. Crop that. Crop that again. I want to give it a 9, but I have to give it an 8 because of the bottom right. 8. 8. 8. Oops.
Okay, sign B, sunrises or sunsets. And honorable mention. Ball of Fire, Wayne Greenstone. Sunset, Forsyth, NWR, Alpha Bucci. Sunrise on the Hook, Margot Partridge. New Day, Wayne Greenstone. Ribbon in the Sky, Wayne Greenstone.
Nice work, guys.
12 in this group. Cranford-Millburn, assigned A, sunrises or sunsets. Good night, Blackwater.
The symmetry is very pleasing. I think for images like this, it works fine to have almost 50-50. Looks like a little more water than sky, but I could be wrong about that. The colors are nice. This image could have even a little more contrast so that the background is more towards a silhouette because there's not really a lot of detail that you can get at this hour. So if I were making, I'd probably make the silhouettes a little bit darker, but overall he did a really nice job. 7.
Sunset 1.
So the trees in the front, the silhouette in the front, it really helps you have this sense of depth to your image because you've got, you know, there's this like grounding and then you launch off into space literally to look at the clouds. And it looks like your depth of field was enough to have both the trees and the background mostly in focus. I think maybe even a little more depth of field would have been handy here, but it's not, it's a cloud. So I'm not looking for extreme definition. I don't know. I like the sense of it's like this ball of energy that's being held and released here. I think that it's effective as a composition and the colors look nice. 7.
Sunset after the rain.
Well, you have a nice setting for a sunset, you know, a culturally important artifact, and you know, some color in the water is very pleasing with the ball of fire above, and you know how the statue is holding her flame in that direction. I think it works well. Again, I shouldn't say again, but the temptation can be to try to bring out detail everywhere you can, but it's really okay to have silhouettes and to have dark areas and have contrast. So I'm not saying it's bad. I just think a little tiny more contrast in the land, the statue, and even the water a little bit would kind of make this image pop a little bit more. Instead, it looks like maybe you tried pulling out definition in the shadow areas, and it's not always the best thing. It's kind of what we sort of default to, but it's just play around with contrast. But I'm still 7 for this one.
Blue Ridge sunset.
So the composition I really like. I'm a little confused about the light area. Like, is it mist? Is it just light because you wanted to show the branches standing out? I don't know. It's like, I can imagine if I were standing there, I don't think I would see something like this, but maybe it is just a misty day. It's also got kind of a purplish hue that looks a bit unnatural. Uh, I find the sky really pleasing. I find the trees against the sky really nice. I'm just kind of confused by this here. And in this case, it's, you know, a judge could go either way on this. Unfortunately, I'm going to give it a 6 because to me, it just, that pulls the image down, that really bright spot there. 6.
Sun's up.
So good for you, brave, trying to shoot right into the sun. I mean, people avoid it all the time. I think it's a great thing to do as long as you do it safely. I like the kind of bright background with the light coming through the lighthouse. I almost think this would be even better if everything were really lightened, like the houses and everything were really lightened, because it's almost like two styles. Like the top has a certain high key look to it and the bottom looks fairly realistic. This probably would work in sepia as well. Compositionally, I think it works well. I'm just torn a little bit about the light high key and then the kind of darker area. But I want to give it a 7 because I think you were ambitious in what you were trying here. 7. And it mostly works.
Color at the boathouse.
Hey, I could feel my shoulders relax when I look at this picture. There's just a sense of serenity and space, pleasing colors, but there's a resting spot. That boathouse is like my salvation. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to hang out here for a little while, my eyes and my whole self. Nice work. 7.
Alone at sunset.
Okay, it's really hard to take a picture of the sun where, you know, do you make it the ball? Do you let it go diffuse into the sky? You know, there's a lot of different choices. I think in this case, the kind of distinct ball is kind of not really working so much. I mean, that's what I'm looking at. You actually got a nice scene with the silhouette, the man almost in the line of light. So like the composition I think works well. It's just I'm struggling a bit with the colors and the definition of the sun. I think it's just a little overdone, and this could probably be, the whole thing could probably be darkened a little bit. 6.
Sunrise on the rocks.
Even for images like this, you want to have a little stroke so we can see where the corner of your image is. So just a public service announcement. Gentle sunrise, natural colors, lovely light on the rock. There's a lot to really like about this image. There's this, this landing space. I don't know. I just really love this light on the rock that's right here. There's layers going on. Sunsets don't have to be over the top, oversaturate. This is a really lovely image. 7.
A minimalist view.
Is it sunrise or is it sunset? It's really perfectly 50-50 with this little bulge of light, and it's compelling. It's definitely compelling. The color contrast, complementary, interrupted by that little ball of light. I take a lot of pictures of the water too, and it's I struggle sometimes because sometimes, like the water is very textured in this image, and sometimes that pulls away. Sometimes it's nice to do a long exposure to have it a little smoother. It's really personal preference. I'm just noting it. But I feel like the texture actually gives you the sense of depth, and it brings you up to that little peak of light there. I really like it. 7.
Raritan Bay.
Speaking of long exposures, it's a whole different look, and it's what I really like is the color in the light in the wet sand, how it extends the water. It's water, but it's also the wet sand. So this presents a bit almost like an abstract. So I'm looking at, color fields and diagonals and lines and everything. I find it very pleasing. I don't know. Just a suggestion. I'm throwing things out, orange here. Would it be neat if you had like just a little bit of orange in here somehow to kind of pull it all together? Because it's sort of like whoosh, going off in the direction of heavy, like the dark orange is a heavy element. I'm just thinking out loud. If I were making the image, I might try to pull a little bit of warmth here just to balance it. But I still love it, and it's a 7.
Sunset 2.
So in this case, the sun's kind of, I think you call it posterized, where it's just very defined. I think you had a night with a lot of haze in the sky, so you were able to focus right in on, actually focus right in on the sun. There's a bit of, speaking of haze, like this foreground it's got a haze to it. I think because you probably couldn't bring out detail, I probably would have made that a little bit more even darker. But the main distraction I feel is that's cut that's taken out of the sun. And I know it's probably a cloud and you couldn't do anything about it, but it just I don't know. I feel like it's like jarring somehow to have this. It's like a mouth or something like that. So for me, this doesn't really work. 7.
Titled Pac-Man.
I meant to say 6 for that.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Reading the Sun.
Okay, so it's person in landscape is appropriate. I like the composition. I like the theme of person and nature like this. I kind of wish, since this was a sunrise or sunset composition, he was actually looking at the sun or connecting with the sun. He's sort of just walking down the beach. So I don't know. I just feel like it would have been more appropriate for the topic if he were somehow appreciating the sun a little bit more. But the color that, the gentle natural color looks nice. It's a morning shot. I'm still on the fence whether it's like a real sunrise picture, because it's just sort of like a little later in the morning than the sunrise. But let me look at this again. 7. Okay.
9.
9. 8. 8. 8. 9. 9. 9. Am I giving too many 9s? 9. Yeah. No, there's 7.
As long as you give mine 9. Okay. Okay. Side A, sunrises or sunsets. Honorable mention. Sunset 1, Wendy Kaplowitz. Sunset After the Rain, Charlene Federowicz. Sun's Up, Jim Chelan. And Equal Merit. Goodnight Blackwater, Wendy Milligan. Color at the Boathouse, Wendy Milligan. Sunrise on the Rocks, Charlene Federowicz. The Minimalist View, Jim Chelan. Raritan Bay, Wendy Milligan. Okay, Cranford-Millburn, Assigned Salon, sunrises or sunsets. Sunset over the port.
I like the juxtaposition of nature and culture like this. You know, you could look at these scenes and think, how can that be beautiful? But you made it beautiful. So the structure looks nice in contrast with the sky and the ocean and the water there. Again, this is one of these images that could have been more silhouette-y and less detailed for the structure, because it's really about this. It's really about the color in the sky and that structure. It would be fine if you didn't have so much detail in there. But I'm not complaining. I'm just want to throw that out as just an option you can think of. 7.
St. Augustine sunrise.
Okay, don't forget your black background, or your white stroke around the outside salon. It's very you know, what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's saturated. I'm going with this. It's not a natural kind of picture, but that's okay. You're allowed to do artistic things. You're allowed to add birds if they weren't there. You know, you're allowed to do these kind of things. It's your creation. For my liking, the creation is a little, the colors I find a little too garish. Like it's just, that's where personal preference comes in for something like this. I would have personally liked a little more natural color. It also, you know, you lose the detail when the colors are so, like the orange is so orange and the ocean looks kind of purple and everything like that. 6.
Boatyard.
So I really love the launching. I have those of you on Zoom, I have a pointer. I'm pointing to the bottom right, this sort of launching off into the image and how the dock leads right to the sun. It's got so much depth and so much movement as it kind of goes in. And then, you know, let's get on the boat and sail up into the sunset or sunrise. Beautifully composed. The colors are gorgeous, natural, pleasing. The detail in the clouds it came out really great. Nicely done. 7.
Sandy Hook, Officers Row sunset.
Well, it's debatable if this is really sunset, but I guess the rich colors are coming from the sunset. It's so bright, doesn't really look like sunset so much to me. I'm a little confused about the behind the tree, the blown out area. Maybe that's where the sun was. But that really bright area behind the sun, it's confusing to the eye. I like your composition. I don't mind the tree off to the side. I like the, you know, spacing of the buildings and everything, but I feel the image should have more cohesiveness, and this kind of bright white area in the back, it's like a hole in the image. I guess that's what it feels like. My eye just falls in and I kind of leave the image, and I don't want to leave this image because it has got a lot going on. That's good. For slide, I'm going to give this a 6.
Baltic sunset.
Always nice to get sailboats in the sunset. I think there was a song about that, but um, you know, I'm curious because I wondered if you took pictures with the boat right in front of the sun on different sides of it, but I like it. I like there's this element, there's this element, and then there's some space and there's grounding on either side. 7.
Cape May sunrise.
So what I like is the foreground kind of holds me and then the background pulls me in. So it's got that sense of depth that I'm really enjoying in some of the images tonight. I almost think this would be better without the birds, but what the heck? I love birds and I love birds in my picture, but I don't know. There's like everything, there's rich saturation, there's the dark silhouette. There's the detail in the sky. It's just a lot going on in here. I guess maybe that's what it is. I feel like there's a lot going on. I just don't know about the birds if that really helps or not, but they were there, or you decide to put them there. Let me look at this again. 7.
Combat Hook NWR Sunset.
Bombay, I
Yeah, I
guess.
assume it's Bombay.
Yeah, yeah,
National Wildlife.
yeah. Lovely reflection in the water of the colors of the sky. It really adds a lot. I like the dark silhouette in the background separating the two color fields. It looks very natural with the placement of the birds. 7.
Blazing Sky.
Okay, so the lens you used, I think, really accentuated, the wider lens. It has this feeling of expansiveness, and the trees kind of hold it open for me, and then I kind of go whoosh into the center. 7.
A Soft Sunrise.
Okay, the slow water is pleasing in this case. The softness of that purple, I know that purple. I photographed that purple a lot. It's really well rendered here. Nice focus on the pier and the birds do perch there a lot. I've seen this before. Nicely done. 7.
Billionaire Row Sunset.
It's the title's great because it's like there's the gold and it's the billionaire, and it's a bit over. It's like the colors are a little unnatural, but I think it fits. I think it fits this picture. It just billionaire row. It's like, I don't know. It's like it's all over the top. Those buildings are over the top, so why not like put some color over the top too? Nicely focused. The only thing I don't like is this green little botch right here. I don't mind all these bright colors and saturated colors, but there's just this green is like a wimpy green. Like you're going for it, like go for it. I'm still giving you a 7. I think it's an effective, compelling image. 7.
Sandy Hook Sunset.
Hey, got some nice tones, dark, medium, light. The sun, you can see the circle of the sun, but it doesn't have an unnatural outline around it or anything like that. But just, I don't know. I feel like there's something missing. I don't know, compositionally or energetically or something like that. Let me take a look at this one again. 7.
Beautiful Sunrise.
The low angle is refreshing and nice, looking up at the fence, looking, out into the distance like that. The way the fence and goes in the same direction as the clouds kind of pulls everything together. Um, I think the strong magenta cast in the sand and the fence detract from your image. The sky's pretty saturated, but the problem is the sand and the fence just sand and fence isn't magenta like that. So I think you got to work with your color balance a little better here. 6.
The Gathering at Sunset.
To me, it's a bit more of a bird and landscape picture than a sunset picture, but you do have, this does happen at sunset. So I'm going to give it to you. They come into roost for the night. You've got more of a gentle kind of sunset color going on here. I think the trees in the background are too blue, and 6.
New Jersey Sunset.
Let's hear for Jersey. Okay, don't forget your outline, people. You used you were far enough away that you were able to use your long lens to make the sun impressive size in the frame. It kind of reminds me of the Blue Ridge Mountains or something like that, so you found a really nice place where you're able to do that. The layering is very pleasing. I probably would have darkened a little bit near the top because sometimes when you're going bright, bright, bright up to the edges, you kind of leave the picture. So very subtle vignette, I would say in this picture probably would improve it, but still nicely done. 7.
A pair of houses.
Like a pair of dice. Paradise. I feel the sun flare in this picture takes away, your lens had a lot of flare and that can be used artistically, but in this case, I don't think it really adds to the picture. Maybe I'm just not getting it, but it's just, not just the color flare, but just even this whole light flare. I think you could have made a nice picture with the buildings, and maybe if the sun were blocked a little more from the cloud, or if you stood so the sun was blocked a little more from the building. I know flare is a style, so that's what I'm saying. Maybe I'm just not getting the style, but I find it distracting. And the blown out sun is a little bit harsh to look at as well. It's really hard photographing right into the sun. It really is challenging. So I'm glad you guys are trying it, but this one I'll have to give a 6.
Enjoying the sunset.
Hey, pleasing silhouette, nice little bit of human interest, that we could connect with. Uh, Basically, not really any annoying mergers or anything. It's kind of interesting how the horizon and this all line up. I think that was kind of neat how you stood that way. This would have worked without this, but it doesn't bother me that it's here. The bottom right is there. It's a bit of a grounding of the image. 7.
Graphic sunrise.
Okay, I think it works. It's a bit of an abstract, I know what it is. I don't need all that detail because the shapes are very strong and very interesting. Very blocky, but then you've got the round of the sun and the color kind of unifying everything. So it's a bit different, but I think it works. 7.
Blue Hour, Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge.
My favorite time of the night where you have the Earth's shadow on the belt of Venus. I was teaching you guys that last time I was doing that talk. So you see the Earth's shadow there and the pink above it. It's a lovely time to photograph. And you just have a little gentle color that's still left over from the sun behind you. Um, I don't know if this is like a dust spot on your lens or if it's on the screen or what, but if it's a dust spot, just watch your lens a little bit. Um, I wish the bird weren't so close to the edge of the picture, but that's where it is. 7. 8. 9. I didn't mention this before, but I think the texture of the water is really distracting here. 7. Smoother would have been better. 8. 8. 8. 9. 9. 7. 9. 9. 9. 8.
Assigned salon, sunrises or sunsets. Honorable mention. Sunset over the port, Ryan Kershaw. Cape May sunrise, Natalie Gregorian. Bombay Hook, National Wildlife Refuge sunset, Ellen Stein. Blazing Sky, Ryan Kershaw. Blue Hour, Bombay Hook, National Wildlife Refuge, Ellen Stein. And Equal Merit, Boatyard, Arlene Sopranzetti. A Soft Sunrise, Arlene Sopranzetti. Billionaire Row Sunset, Peter Schmeichel. New Jersey Sunset, Ryan Kirshner. Enjoying the Sunset, Peter Schmeichel. Graphic Sunrise, Lenny McDonald. Okay,
Nice.
on to our opens.
Where was your sunset? Water gas or somewhere?
No, it was actually my old apartment was in Verona.
I remember you used to
Top of
shoot
the
that.
hill. Yeah, and it was just right outside the apartment. The one with the trees where you said it looked like it was kind of, it was also from seeing.
Oh,
I was actually just saying to my wife today, I'm like, I kind of miss our view from up there.
yeah, you guys are lucky.
Yeah. There was actually a lot of birds too, and that was before I had a long lens. Cranford-Millburn, should be a B actually. Yep. Went in alphabetical instead of Cranford-Millburn, open B. Who ordered takeout food?
So exciting when you catch a bird with a fish in its mouth. I was trying to shoot ospreys today. So kudos for you. You caught the shot. You caught the moment. So B class, it's it looks like your focus was pretty much on, maybe a little bit off. For the bird shots, you definitely want to increase your shutter speed though, unless you're trying for some artistic blur. But this picture's got this style looks like it's a more of a documentary kind of picture. A little bit of movement isn't bad, but you definitely want to keep your shutter speed up as much as you can. I see the bird's eye. I'm going to give you 7. There's definitely things you can improve, but it's nice that you caught it for beginner class. 7.
Flattened.
Really interesting. Really interesting subject. Like, I still don't know what it is. Maybe it's an old lawnmower, but I think I'm wrong. I like the mystery. The colors are rendered very naturally, like the natural light looks good there. There's saturation, but not oversaturation. Um, yeah, it's actually really cool. And you could tell me what it is after, because I'm very curious. But just as far as color, shape, light, form, I think it works. Even that like little bit of kind of muddy dirt around the outside is a framing. 7.
Bifurcated.
Very cool. Um, it looks like a tie, but I like where you bifurcated the image, with the dark, and that little bit of detail in the black is kind of compelling, gives it some texture, and makes it look more not just flat. So curious how you made the image. If you're here, maybe you could tell me about it later on. But graphically, it's very pleasing. 7.
Top of the world.
It's nice when you can get people against the sky, and you, especially the girl, you can see the sky behind her. The other person is kind of cut off a little bit, but her posture gives a sense of joy and accomplishment. She got there. So it's pleasing in that. I think the time of day wasn't so great for like a real artsy kind of picture. It's pretty much like bright sunlight. Um, in a case like this, you might want to try just sort of darkening some of the bright spots. maybe this would even work as a silhouette. I'm curious because, you know, you were there at that time of day. That's when you got the picture. Um, I'm still giving you a good score. I'm just telling you for, you know, next time you might want to just try to soften some of the harsher light up. 7.
Immature bald eagle.
Okay, beautiful detail and a dark bird. You know, I could see detail in the feathers. I could see the eye. You know, it's kind of trying to hide behind those branches, but your focus looks spot on. Very natural looking. 7.
Preening plumage.
Lovely detail in the feathers. Nice against the blue, that color blue of the water. Some of the brights are a little bright, but I could basically see everything I need to see. My main critique is that the feet are cut off, and I feel like that's a little not distracting, but disturbing or something like that. Like if you're gonna crop, maybe crop a little bit closer and tighter. Otherwise, I think having the feet would help the image. Um, I'm still giving you a 7 for B class, but you know, that's just keep that in mind for next time. 7.
Escape.
Okay, I really like what you were doing here. I like the circle. It's like he's jumping off the circle and going up the ladder of success or something like that. I don't know. There can be symbolism in this image, which I enjoy. It's kind of interesting how he's got one foot that's missing and one foot that's still there. That gives it the sense of motion. Um, you know, I don't know. When I first saw it, I wanted you to step over to the left a little bit, so it was a little bit more. The grid was a little more centered. But the more I look at it, the more it doesn't bother me the way that you composed it. I congratulate you for coming up with this image. 7.
Fountain detail.
It's really kind of nice lighting. I mean, you've got some reflection and a little bit of harshness in the middle, but it's a very nice light. And you do get the detail in the urn or the fountain itself and a little bit of water flowing. Um, Simple, pleasing colors, interesting shape. 7.
Mixed ages.
So yeah, I guess you know, you've got the sense of history here, and then some modern things going on. I like the haziness, like of the day. It's definitely has a mood about it. I don't know if this I don't know if this background is textured on purpose. Like it almost looks like a texture was applied, which I think if you actually did a texture, I would have done it even heavier on this image because it does have kind of a, I don't know, it would kind of increase the nostalgic feel to the image. It's a little there's like blotchy lighting in the background. There's like light dark, light dark. So I'm just like the background sort of puzzles me a little bit. But overall, I like the feel of it. 7.
Emma blowing bubbles.
And of course, she's wearing a pink hat and has a pink bubble. It's got a little pink skin. Um, it's lovely, you know, and any parent, grandparent would love to have a picture of somebody like this. I would say for a competition, so that it doesn't seem like a snapshot, like, you know, just like look at your edges here. Try to unify the background a little bit more, maybe make it all kind of a little darker just so you can focus on the beautiful girl and this really great moment that you have. Because when you just have like everyday background in a competition, it just seems like a snapshot. And this has a lot of potential to be more than a snapshot because of the moment that you caught. I'm going to still give you 7, but if I don't promote it, I want you to work on the background a little bit here. But for now, 7.
Red gladiolus.
It's almost like a gesture, like a shape that's moving up. I kind of like it. It feels like a flamenco dancer to me when I look at it with the skirts flying and everything. A couple of critiques. Try not to clip off part of the flower if that's what your subject is. Also, like notice there's like a lot of little artifacts and everything. I probably have shared this technique with you before, but if you're working in Photoshop with a white background, switch it to black so you can sort of see these things better. Or if you're working with the black, switch it to white, because when you have different backgrounds behind your picture, you notice things that you wouldn't notice if your eyes were accustomed to the other colors. So, you know, it's got a lot of potential. I would like you to rework, snip out all these little distractions. And I don't know if you have more where you can fix the top. That's going to be a little bit tricky. Um, your focus is basically good on the flower here. I just feel like there's too many other issues. So I'm going to give this a 6.
Beneath.
Well, it's a mystery, right? Is it a gravestone? Is it an old wall? But what I like is the texture of the stone and the draping of the vines over it. I just feel like there's if you're going to present an image like this, like be aware how much is just blank. Like there's a lot of blank space, and I don't know that that really is communicating anything. Like I don't know, maybe more vines or some writing on it, or I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing the point, what you're trying to communicate here. But my feeling is that it's about something old, textured. Maybe if it weren't so bright, it would have a more of a subtle, like the brightness, the blank brightness wouldn't be overpowering for me. But I just feel like, I don't know, I'm just missing something here. 6.
Alienscape.
Hey, so you chose black and white, and I think that was appropriate. It probably looked nice in color, but you're by putting it in black and white, you're emphasizing the forms, and the forms are really interesting. This could be under the sea, it could be in a desert. I don't really recognize this landscape at all. I'm curious. You could tell me later about it, but it's kind of nice with the side lighting, how you have some definition in the shadows and everything. 7.
Bluebird.
Okay, very pleasing, natural colors. You don't often see bird images in square, but I think it works really well because that green background really sets off the bird really nicely. 7. Oh, this is B, right?
Correct.
Okay, 8. 9. 9. 8. 9. 8. 9. 8. 7. 8. 8. 9.
Okay, open B, honorable mention. Who ordered takeout food? Alpha Guccio. Top of the world, Margot Partridge. Preening plumage, Alpha Guccio. Fountain detail, Fernando Gomes. Emma blowing bubbles, Edward Schulman. Alienscape, Fernando Gomes. And equal merit, flattened, Wayne Greenstone.
Is it a lawnmower?
That's what I thought at first. But...
It was outside the gas station or sometime.
Okay. I'll have to stop by.
Bifurcated, Fernando Gomes. Immature, bald eagle, Edward Schulman. Escape, Wayne Greenstone. Bluebird, Edward Schulman.
Nice work. Nice variety.
12 in it. Cranford-Millburn, open A. Blowing in the wind.
Doesn't look like it's blowing. It looks nice and sharp and still. Good thing, right? I love the lighting. I love the contrast, the little subtle, light in the background is very pleasing. 7.
My own little world, poison dart frog.
You had such a thin little sliver of focus, but you nailed it. You got, just about all the frog in focus, and then a little bit of the leaf, and then the rest of it is just out of focus. It's really neat how maybe you focus stacked a little bit on the frog, but I think it works really great. He's coming right out at us. Really, well done. 7.
Hindu temple.
Yeah, nice angle with the reflection and everything. It's just so interesting. I keep looking at the misty sky and then the kind of not misty at the bottom. It's like two different worlds, I guess. 7.
Tree as the sun is setting.
I know that tree. Okay. It fills the frame beautifully. It's sort of like spreads out and connects all the sides together. So the tree's placed well. The colors came out nicely. Unfortunately, whatever that thing on the bottom left is not the most beautiful blocky thing on the bottom left. I don't mind the naval station at the back. That's fine. It's still well done. It's just like, I don't know what you do about stuff like this. You could take it out, or you could maybe step over a little bit. So, the best composition tool is your feet. Move around so everything in the image is really contributing to what you're trying to show in the image. I know it's there, so it's not bothering me that much. It's definitely a 7, but just saying, don't just take your first shot, move your feet around a little bit so you could really get exactly what you want in there. 7.
Humpback Bridge, Covington, Virginia.
I love the fact that you got people in there. It's like one of these vanishing point images, and there's something to look at the end. Looks like 2 people and a dog, maybe. And you're looking into the shadow. You didn't try to expose all the detail, which I don't think really would have worked. It would have been all right, I guess, but it would have been a different image. The sky's a little bit bright in the top left, but it doesn't really, I don't think it detracts that much. You might try a vignette on this picture, just kind of so that you could darken a little bit around the bottom, around the top, kind of to accentuate that depth of the picture. But overall, I think you handled it well. 7.
Creative Orchid.
Very painterly. Maybe it's a multiple exposure. Maybe it's got a texture layer, but the colors you chose work really well. The green and purple look great together. The feeling of sort of like a watercolor kind of gives a nice sense to it. I guess my main area of concern is like the darkness under the dark purple petal. It's sort of a bit of a black hole there. If you're going to print it, you might want to brighten that section up, because I think it won't kind of weigh it down as much. But overall, I think you did a really nice job. 7.
Texture and light.
It's a great study of the way light reflects from different angles. And the texture is very compelling. I like the fact that you chose black and white. You know, it's very simple, but it's very satisfying at the same time. Since I always like to give suggestions, even though I like the image and I'm giving it a 7, I would say increase your depth of field so that this first right in the smack in the middle could be in focus a little bit more, in my opinion, just because most everything is in focus, and I think it would probably give you some more texture and light to look at. But overall, 7. Just when you're doing these images, don't be afraid to stop down a little bit, especially if you have a tripod. You can handle it. 7.
Reflections on the water.
Fire in the sky. Oh, that's the wrong song. Sorry. Um, nice arrangement of trees with definition and spacing in between them in your reflection. Unfortunately, you really blew out there's this really bright white spot there, and I think it just kind of pulls my eye there, and it brings the image down, I think, a little bit. You could have darkened it a little bit more. Maybe that's where the sun was, but I just think it's enough of a distraction to bring this down to a 6. 6.
Falling Creek Falls.
You had such pretty soft light, and it's really nice because you have detail, definition, and then there's a soft water. And I like water all kinds of ways as a judge. I think sometimes soft works well and sometimes detailed works well. But for this image, it kind of matches the way the lighting is and the tones of the winter. It's very attracting and appealing to me. 7.
New life floating on the pond.
Contrasty, but it works. And I like that, in this kind of image, the dark areas are perfect because you're really studying the way the light is hitting those fronds and those roots in the plant. And so personally, I don't think it needs to have a lot more detail in the darks. Maybe a little bit at the bottom, but because you made it dark, you can really appreciate the lightness. That's profound, right? The dark helps us appreciate the light. It also has a sense of like underwater to me. There's like a very nice flowing feeling to this. I guess it almost seems like the water could be moving the fronds around or something. I find it very pleasing. 7.
Pink Spring.
The color and the lighting were beautifully handled. Your depth of field is perfect. I can't really give you any suggestion because you took a beautiful picture. You crafted a beautiful picture. 7.
Highway.
Cool. I feel the energy and the diagonal of the lights and kind of like the swoop and swoosh of it is exciting to look at. The contrast with the dark works really well. Nice job. 7. Oh, that's quick.
Okay.
9. 9. 8. 8. 8. 9. 8. 9. 8. 9. 9.
Okay, open A, honorable mention. Hindu Temple, Charlene Federer. Tree as the sun is setting, Wendy Capowitz. Humpback Bridge, Covington, Virginia, Jim Chelan. Texture and light, Charlene Fetterwood. New life floating on the pond, Wendy Milligan. Equal merit, blowing in the wind, Jim Chelan. My own little world, poison dart frog, Wendy Milligan. Creative orchid, Wendy Milligan. Falling Creek Falls, Jim Chelan. Pink Spring, Charlene Fetterwood. Highway, Wendy Capowitz.
First started judging, I hardly ever gave nines.
Say it again.
When I first started judging, I hardly ever gave
Oh,
nines.
really?
No, I just
No nine
see
for you,
things.
no?
I don't know what it's coming from Cam Nats.
Hard to calibrate yourself. Like,
Yeah, no.
okay. Cranford-Millburn Open Salon. Robbins Reef Lighthouse.
Wowza. That's an eyeful. And so, that's what it's about. There's all these things going on in that part of New York. It's very interesting. Like my first reaction was that the sky was too much. Like I couldn't appreciate everything else because the sky is so busy. However, then I kind of feel like that's what the image is about. Like it's not just about the lighthouse, it's about that part of the world and all this stuff is going on. So I'm going to bring it a 7. I'd be curious to see with the different kind of sky, how it would feel, but that's what I'm getting from this image is like overstimulation of the city and everything. So I'm giving it a 7 for that. 7.
Green frog and long-legged fly.
He's got a friend. Oh, how could you not love it, right? I mean, the focus is great. The story is wonderful. I'm feeling a little confused by like, is he on like a leaf and what is this stuff here? I don't know. I'm a little confused about this little part here. Like it almost looks like it's pasted there or something, but giving you the benefit of the doubt, you could explain it to me later. 7.
Rear view dahlia composite.
Totally gorgeous. Um, very pleasing symmetrically, but the colors, it's just fun. It's like a carnival ride. It's like a wedding cake. It's like it's a celebration. I feel like a celebration when I look at this. 7.
Gassed.
I have this terrible thought, like this, like blood is spilled, but it's blue. It almost looks like I don't know, it's this kind of intensity or whatever like that. But that's just crazy. Very very intense look, posture, exhausted, focus, concentrated. Um, the color of the skin is kind of greenish. I bet the lights in the room were probably giving some kind of color like that. I kind of wish the color of the skin were a little more natural. And so just a little there's like a little artifacts or splotches up here. I don't know if that's on the screen. It's the crowd in the background. Okay. The crowd of dust spots. But anyway, I like the composition a lot, and your focus and the intensity and everything. But if there is the crowd or whatever it is in the background, it's distracting me. So I'll give it a 7, but I'm just telling you that's my eye is going there in not such a great way. 7.
Stormy night.
Oh, that's pretty wild. And skies turn that purple when you do lightning. When you see lightning, it's crazy. What I love is that the tree looks like it's reaching to the lightning, like the branches of the tree look like lightning going the other way. So there's this there's like connection here. I really like that. 7.
Osprey catch.
Oh, that's what I was trying for today. Good one. Not for the fish, but so your shutter speed was perfect. Your focus is perfect. The lighting isn't really super great that day, you know, but it's not terrible. You were able to bring out detail where you needed to have the detail. 7.
Wood duck.
Okay. I love the straight on look. The connection, you know, I feel when I look at an animal and it's straight on like this. The colors are beautiful, beautifully rendered. They're not overdone. It was a soft light. You had restraint with that slider. That's the colors that you see. And just look at this way you know, these lovely reflections, how it's sort of swirly a little bit. I think it's beautiful. 7.
Peeling paint and long shadows.
Graphically pleasing, kind of exciting. You know, it's a brick wall, but you know, you found it at a time of the day where there's this energetic shadows going diagonally through it. Personally, I think the red is the kind of intense red competes with the shadow, with the graphic nature of the shadows. Like I think this could have been just about the shadows and shapes and not so much about the color. You know, that's just personal opinion, but I still really like it. 7.
Snow reflection.
Okay, great point of view. The curvature of the lens is very appealing here. Like I want to sort of dive into this picture. Um, you know, even a picture like this should have a little stroke because when we get the color, the black falling off, it kind of makes the edges look a little ragged. And I know it's not ragged, so that's just like in general, just put the little stroke, even if you don't think you need it. Uh, it's like a fantasy world. It's very, very pleasing to kind of get lost in this image. 7.
Value center detail.
So in this image, the maker kind of went for a soft, almost painterly interpretation of the dahlia, and it's tempting. And I think your choice in that is fine. It works out fine. I think the rich saturation actually takes some of the detail away that would have helped with this picture. I don't know. Maybe it was just the lighting wasn't so great or something, so that you overcompensate it with the color saturation. But that said, you know, this would make a beautiful card, a canvas print. I maybe make it not so bright, like darken it a little bit. 7.
Ocean waves.
Very cool. Very impressionist. You know, you get the little bokeh balls or whatever you want to call them from the foam on the sea. And you know, if it were just that, it would be okay. But I like the fact that you have a little bit of the sand here out of focus as well. I don't know. It sort of brings me back to like when I was a kid and exploring the ocean for the first time, and it was wondrous. I don't know. I just think this has a really nice feel and works as an abstract. And I'm glad he gave me the title to kind of give me some grounding. I might have guessed it, but 7.
Arctic fox.
Wow. Perfectly focused, great shutter speed, nice lighting, great contact. Its face looks really big, but I've never seen one of these, so I guess that's what they look like. 7.
NYC skyline.
A little more contrast would have made this image pop a little bit more. It's just a little flat. However, the focus looks good. Where you stood compositionally works really well. You know, you chose to have more of a blue sky than a black sky, which is fine. I just think just a little bit more, like if you move your black point down a little bit, or up a little bit, I guess it would be, where it would just kind of pop a little bit better. Like if you're going to print this on metal or something like that, definitely add a little bit more contrast. But as is 7.
Sweet remnants domino legacy.
It almost looks like it was taken at night. Well, I mean, it's got the dark sky, and an artificial like a light on it, but as it's lit, it does have a very interesting texture of the building. I don't know. It's just something pleasing about it, even though the background's kind of blotchy with the black and almost like smoke or clouds or something like that, but I think it works for this image. 7.
Fox curled up.
You got down nice and low. Um, Fox isn't looking at you, but I still feel a connection with the subject. The road is a little bit bright. I might have kind of toned it down a little bit, just a half a stop or something like that. But he or she stands out nicely from, from its environment. So you can really enjoy the fox. 7.
Mother and child snowflakes.
Aw. Even without the title, it's still an awe. And I am in awe. I mean, these are really hard pictures to take. You're very patient with your focus and everything like that. The way the beautiful structures stand out against that gorgeous sort of slate kind of bluish. I don't know. I love it. I love the out of focus kind of framing around it. So you could teach me how to do that. Okay. Thanks. 7.
Backlit leaf.
You found a beautiful structure with the lighting coming through it where you can really appreciate the color gradations and patterns in the leaf. It looks a little bit soft to me. I don't know. Maybe you just soften it a little bit. If you didn't mean to soften it, it does look a little bit soft, but basically I feel like the composition's great. And the color rendition, it works really well. 7.
Winter in the Hudson Valley.
An Eiffel, but we have kind of a base to ground, and then there's this curvy road kind of bringing me in towards the river. The snow gives a little bit more texture to the landscape, and then the clouds have something else. I don't know. It's kind of nice how it's a color image, but there's sort of blues and grays and whites, and I don't know. It's very pleasing. It's almost like a etching or something like that, but enough detail. That obviously it's a photograph. I just wonder if the snow at the bottom is a little too kind of on the bluish side, but I don't know. I'm just wondering about the color cast, but overall, I think it's really well done. 7. Oh,
Yeah.
8. 9. 9. 8. 9. 8. 9. 9. 9. 8. 9. 9. 8. 8. 8. 9. 8. 9.
Open salon. Honorable mention. Robbins Reef Lighthouse. Peter Schmeichel. Guest. Al Brown. Osprey Catch. Lenny McDonald. Dahlia Center Detail. Ellen Stein. NYC Skyline. Ryan Kershaw. Sweet Remnants Domino Legacy. Peter Schmeichel. Fox Curled Up. Ellen Stein. Backlit Leaf. Lenny McDonald. and Equal Merit. Green Frog and Long-Legged Fly, Natalie Gregoria. Rear View Dahlia Composite, Ellen Stein. Stormy Night, Arlene Sopranzetti. Wood Duck, Ryan Kirscher. Healing Paint and Long Shadows, Peter Schmickel. Snow Reflection, Natalie Gregoria. Ocean Waves, Arlene Sopranzetti. Arctic Fox, Lenny McDonald. Mother and Child Snowflakes, Arlene Sopranzetti. Winter in the Hudson Valley, Ryan Kirscher.
Wow. Nice work, everybody. There was no hula hoops in there. Oh, you did? Someone else judged them? Oh, okay. How did they come out? Who judged abstracts?
Does anyone online have any questions? Okay. I guess not. If no one online has any questions, we'll say goodnight to everybody. Good night.